Texas Tech as well. Armstrong, there's a graphic of the Super Bowl. We showed you, I mentioned the tickets for Texas and Texas Tech, $280 to $2,800 or whatever. You may not be able to see this very well. This is a graphic that was put up about right now, 2 weeks before the game, of ticket prices at SoFi Stadium for the game between the Rams and the Bengals. Now, Cincinnati's not a huge city. It's a big city, but it's not like New York or Chicago, whatever. But I'm so thrilled for them. I really am for the franchise. But look at the ticket prices. The cheapest we saw, Paul, in that top right-hand corner was around $40-something or $50-something $100.
It was less than $5,000 up in the top right corner. So jump on those right now.
And then some, if you look at the numbers, are in the $30,000 range.
For
right?
A ticket.
Yes, a single ticket.
For one ticket.
And that's today. Now, usually what happens is those tickets are right where they are, and then they climb as everyone's interest, and now everyone knows who's going to go on, who could afford the trip, the airlines, the hotels. And then it sometimes can level off a little bit before game time, and then depending on how much Cincinnati fans want to buy into it, you're going to get the Hollywood set. That's nothing for them. That's like a $100 bill, some of that money. It will be interesting. Plus, the NFL, of course, has all of what they put into it as well with the stars, the glitz, the glamour of L.A.
Yeah, if you were a Rams or Browns fan, it's like, if they ever make the Super Bowl, I'm going to make sure I go. I hope you were saving up your money for a while because, yeah, Super Bowl tickets are not for your average fan by any means. They are very much you better have big bucks to even start the conversation. And, quite frankly, that leads to kind of those weird Super Bowl crowds you get where some of it's for both teams and then a lot of it's just miscellaneous fans who are there just for the show, who really have no fighting interest whatsoever. They want to be there for the Super Bowl or for the halftime show or whatever, just to say that they were there. You get a lot of that, and I'm sure you'll get a ton of that in L.A. But, yeah, I saw DiCaprio chatting up David Duchovny in the box last night, and a few more stars there. So I'm sure it'll be, star-studded in Los Angeles, and they'll really play that up, and we'll get plenty of, cameo shots throughout the game, I'm sure, of, this TV actor and this movie star and whatever. But what else would you expect with L.A. and L.A. in the Super Bowl in L.A.?
Yeah. Nobody ever makes the home Super Bowl. Now we've had it 2 years in a row with the Bucs and the Rams. But I do. That's one thing that's weird is and the higher you get, the more fans there, like actual real fans they are.
Yes.
In Minnesota a few years ago, I was at I used our game critter for that game when the Eagles beat the Patriots, and to my left was the entire city of Philly. So much so that it smelled like hoagies over here, and then to my right was clam chowder.
Yes.
I mean, so it was funny, but because we're up.
Oh, those ones down there. Those are corporate seats. Those are sponsors and teams and all that.
If you took the elevator down to the lower level and walked around, you're talking about like this is like, oh look, there's Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
like that's.
Yeah, from DG, I have a really good friend, a buddy from my college days who's like family to me. And in my family from Ohio, he is ecstatic. The Bengals are now the Bengals, he said, because of just that alone. From the 360, $4,830 in Section 535. I'll take 10 seats. I want them painted orange and black, 10 gyros. And some Ram juice as well. That's from the 360. Thank you for that text as well. Matt, earlier today, overreaction Monday, Coach Drew in Alabama driving inside. To beat Auburn in March, Baylor has to improve. So does everybody else, it seems. And Jerry, please hire a young coach and do what the Rams did as well. He means a young coach, Zach Taylor. But I think what he means by do what the Rams did is go back to who you used to be and go all in. Von Miller, Odell Beckham.
Jalen Ramsey.
Matthew Stafford. The Rams said, screw it. We're going to go all in. They got close, 2 or 3 years ago. We're going to go all in. They don't have any first-round picks until perhaps, eternity. But if they win the Super Bowl, it's worth doing what they're doing, even if it bankrupts you from having a chance to draft people early in the NFL draft.
But for the Cowboys, they've been built like they stopped doing that, which they were doing too much of because they were trying to sustain an era, right?
Right.
So they stopped doing it and they started building for the future, a future that has never come. It's not been there. So look, if you really believe in Dak to the amount that you do believe in him, and he's he's on that second tier of NFL quarterbacks towards the top of the second tier, but he's good enough to get you to a Super Bowl and win you a Super Bowl. He is plenty good enough to do that. If that's the case, then start mortgaging the future, Jerry, because it's been too long. Just do it, because planning for the future, look, they've got one hell of an IRA apparently, but they're no close to dying.
But then
the
Bengals,
retiring.
did the Bengals go all in? No, they drafted Burrow. He ends up being incredible. He's a freaking golly, he's unbelievable.
I would compare
Jamar
them.
Chase.
I would compare them more to the Rams though at this point than the Bengals, just based on the way that the franchises have ridden and fallen throughout the years.
I don't know if there is a safe way. I don't know if there's the right way. I think everyone, you just take your shot, and sometimes it works out when you overspend or you give up draft picks, and sometimes it does not.
They did it two completely different ways.
Yep.
I mean, so there's not one way to skin a cat here. Look at the teams in this game. They both did it different ways. The Bengals have just floundered for years. Mentioned Marvin Lewis's 0 for playoff record. Hey, let's get there every year and just lose the first time we play. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And, then just kind of a transition period, nothing really notable. Eventually, Zach Taylor gets a little something going. Eventually, he gets Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and that's really what flipped everything for the Rams. I mean, they've been just going out. They didn't draft most of their star players. They went and signed them. I mean, Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey. We talked about all these stars they went and picked up. They did it the splashy, let's, tie up our franchise and incredible contracts and, just go all in. The Bengals are not like all in or bust in this game. The Rams are. The Rams aren't going to have many opportunities with this type of team to keep doing this version of what they're doing. The Bengals have like the next decade to do whatever they want
until they have to pay Burrow, and and that's in 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, they have nothing to worry about right now. So they're two different sides of the aisle, and I think I'm actually rooting for the Bengals because it's just so improbable that they're here, and the fact that they are kind of like the poor kid versus the rich kid in this game, because look at the rosters. I mean, just simply look at the rosters and how they were put together. But I don't really have much of a dog in the fight, but I do think it's interesting that, for all the, well, you should do it this way, go buy. Okay, they got the Rams here finally, after they finally got Stafford on top of all the other chips they stacked up. Or you can do it where you just draft well, get the right quarterback, get the right receiver, and just a good enough offensive line and defense, quite frankly. And here are the Bengals. So, I mean, there's not one way to do it.
There's not.
But,
it's Rich Boone on the chat. The Rams did it the L.A. way, buying a team versus building a team.
Exactly.
It works for some, and sometimes it just sets you back a decade.
And if you look at owner, like Stan Kroenke's a guy who all the owners are mad at now because he's getting them all sued. But he's a guy who's, money whips everything and, built he owns the stadium in L.A. The city of Los Angeles didn't have to pay for it.
Nope.
He paid for it, and it was nothing to him. Mike Brown is a guy who every time the collective bargaining agreement comes up, the big owners in the league have to sit down with Mike Brown and go, Mike, stop.
They are the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that fair? The Tampa Bay Rays?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but the Rays have had success, really good success, where the Twins have had World Series success even during the years in which they wouldn't pay
I know that,
too much.
And did you see Mike Brown on TV at all
No.
yesterday? You know why? He doesn't care. It's not his thing. He doesn't recognize players that he pays. He meets with them a couple times. He turns them completely over to the general manager and moves on.
How about that?
Yeah.
As an idea.
Quan Cosby told me a story one time. He was in the lunch line and Mike Brown came out and was talking to a guy thinking he was Carson Palmer, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Just kind of Mike Brown is.
From Blake Robinson. Go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say it's also a big day if you're an Oklahoma fan. I mean, seeing P. Ryan and Mixon out there doing their thing for the Bengals. P. Ryan obviously had a big play. And
Mixon ran so hard in that overtime, man.
LSU fans obviously enjoying the the Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and how about just fans in the city of Cincinnati? I mean, going from the Bearcats to now what the Bengals are doing. I mean, this has been the greatest football year in that city's history, especially if they can pull off the Super Bowl win. I know Cincinnati, college football didn't end the way that they wanted it to, but I mean, to get to the playoff was a feat in its own right. So, yeah, I mean, what an incredible job by Luke Fickell and Zach Taylor and a couple pretty good quarterbacks as well. And, yeah, it's an amazing ride for that city right now.
I think the Reds Paul, are they supposed to be any good if there was a season? They're going to be pissed if there's no season because it's their year.
They're kind of on the.
Yeah. All right. From Blake Robinson.